Maya spots a risk 10 minutes before anyone else. She waits to verify it. By the time she speaks, the meeting has moved on and her manager leaves with a simpler memory. Maya had nothing to add. That memory can be wrong without anyone being dishonest. In this case, we will separate quiet behavior from the story people attach to it and show how to make good thinking visible without becoming the loudest person in the room. The proposed handoff skips a review step, and Maya can already see the rework it may create. Her analysis is useful, but a room can only react to the evidence it receives. When good thinking stays mostly internal, other people may fill the gap with a story: uncertain, disengaged, unprepared, resistant, or not interested in greater responsibility. The first correction is simple. Quiet behavior is not a personality verdict. It does not automatically mean introverted, shy, passive, agreeable, disengaged, or unhappy. One person may be quiet in every large meeting and highly direct one-to-one. Another may speak freely about familiar work and pause around senior leaders. A third may stay silent because the meeting has no clear question to answer. The same visible behavior can have several plausible causes. Someone may be processing carefully, verifying a fact, translating technical detail into plain language, waiting for an opening, avoiding repetition, or trying not to interrupt. They may lack context, see no useful path into the conversation, or believe that speaking carries more risk than benefit. Remote meetings add delay, weak audio, chat messages, and missing body language. None of these explanations should be assumed automatically. The point is that silence alone does not tell you which explanation is true. Research on employee voice makes a narrower distinction. Voice is discretionary communication of work-related ideas, concerns, questions, or suggestions. Silence in that literature can mean withholding potentially relevant work information. That is not identical to being a generally quiet person. Research describes several reasons people may judge speaking to be risky or inappropriate, including status, experience, unwritten rules, and the response they expect. Psychological safety can help people take interpersonal risks such as asking questions, discussing errors, or seeking feedback. But it is one part of the setting, not a complete diagnosis of every quiet employee or every team. There is also an uncomfortable visibility problem. In small group research, speaking time has been associated with who emerges as a leader. Other research found that dominant participants could be perceived as more competent partly because they performed visible competence signaling behaviors. These findings do not prove that the loudest person is the best worker, or that every manager rewards volume. They show something narrower. In those studied groups, visible participation influenced impressions even though it was not a complete measure of ability. Before deciding that you are being misread, separate evidence from guesswork. One quiet meeting and one short reply do not prove that anyone has formed a negative judgment. Look for a repeated pattern. Feedback that asks for more visibility. Decisions made without your input. Questions redirected away from your area, or work assigned as if your view were unknown. Then ask a neutral question. In meetings, what would help you understand my recommendation sooner? A specific answer gives you something to test. An accusation about what someone secretly thinks does not. Meetings leave people with compressed memories. They may remember who framed the question, named the risk, proposed the choice, or summarized the decision. They cannot see the silent analysis that happened behind those moments. Office Crow has reviewed the evidence and confirms that nodding thoughtfully is not a file format managers can archive. So let us turn that research into a practical test. The answer is not to become the loudest person in the office. It is to make a small, accurate sample of your thinking visible. Use 3 steps: signal, share, and summarize. First, signal early. In the first part of a meeting, offer one low-risk contribution that shows where your attention is. You do not need a speech. Clarify the goal, name a constraint, or test the decision. Before we choose, what outcome matters most here? One constraint may change the timeline. I agree with the direction. The main risk is the handoff. An early signal gives the room useful information and makes later silence less likely to be read as total disengagement. If you need time to think, say that plainly. I want to check one assumption before I recommend an option. Now the pause has context. Speaking earlier and preparing one concise contribution are practical visibility techniques to test, not guarantees. Second, share one clear point. Answer first. A careful speaker may build a long runway before stating the conclusion. In a fast meeting, the runway can consume the opening. Start with the recommendation. Then give the reason and the main risk. My recommendation is option B because it cuts rework. The trade-off is one extra review day. I see one gap in the plan. No one owns the final check. If we launch Friday, support needs the updated answers by Wednesday. This is not a performance of certainty. You can state what you know, what you do not know, and what would change your view. The goal is legibility, not volume. Third, summarize when the decision or ownership matters. After the meeting, send a brief factual recap through the normal work channel. Record the decision, owners, deadline, and unresolved risk. Confirming today's decision, we are using option B. Maya will test the handoff by Thursday. The open issue is approval timing. A summary is not a personal advertising campaign. It helps keep useful work connected to the person doing it, and it gives everyone a shared record. Use it selectively. If every minor conversation becomes a 5-paragraph declaration, the cure has developed side effects. Together, signal, share, and summarize turn internal analysis into a small piece of visible, useful evidence. The same model works outside meetings. A quiet analyst can signal in the agenda document, share the recommendation during the call, and summarize the decision afterward. A remote employee can put one concise point in chat, then speak when invited. A new employee can ask the manager before the meeting, "Which decision do you need from me?" The channel can change. The evidence still needs to become visible. Consider Leela, who works remotely. Her camera freezes while the team debates a customer complaint, so she posts one sentence in chat. The last 3 cases share the same billing error. After the call, she adds the case numbers to the team record. She has not dominated the meeting. She has used the available channels to connect her observation to the decision. Managers also shape whether quiet turns into useful voice. Do not rely only on any thoughts after 3 confident people have already occupied the room. Send the question in advance when possible. Give everyone a minute to write before discussion. Ask for expertise, not personality. Maya, you tested the handoff. What risk are we missing? Make room for a follow-up message after the meeting and respond constructively to concerns. Multiple channels matter because one open microphone is not the same as equal access to voice. There are limits. Speaking earlier does not guarantee recognition, promotion, agreement, or a fair response. Some workplaces have strong status differences, weak trust, or habits that one employee cannot repair alone. If a concern involves safety, discrimination, pay, retaliation, or another formal matter, use an appropriate documented route and qualified guidance for your situation. This is communication guidance, not legal advice or a promise about how a manager or formal process will respond. For ordinary work, the test is smaller. Before an important meeting ends, ask, "Did the room receive one accurate sample of how I think? Did I name the recommendation, the risk, or the decision I own? If not, add one useful sentence. Maya does not need a new personality. At the next project review, she says early, one handoff risk may change the timeline. When the choice appears, she gives the conclusion first. Afterward, she sends a 4-line recap. She is still calm. She is still selective. But now the room has better evidence. You do not need to talk more than everyone else. You need silence to stop doing all the explaining. In the next Office Crow episode, your work is invisible until you say this. We will build the 2-sentence update that makes useful work visible without turning it into a personal advertising campaign.